Shiva and today I'm going to be reading a community heaven story, which is the heaven story of how to be genuinely independent. So basically I'm going to be talking about however the heaven story comes, what being independent truly means, because apparently there's a lot of misconceptions about what people assume independence means, and I'm here to straighten that out as best as I can. So, shall we begin?
Let's begin.
When a human is born, they are a small, helpless, and weak thing. But they are also alive. And in those early stages, they depend on their parents for everything. For food, for clothing, for love, for shelter, for education. It all comes from their parents. And then, once they start going to school, they depend on their teachers to teach them. And as they grow older, they continue to depend on their parents for everything, as well as their teachers and now their peers for attention and enjoyment and fun. Everyone depends on something, one way or the other. And then there comes the point where children start to want to be more independent, want to do things on their own more. They may not be completely ready to live alone, but they want to be more alone. And giving them that independence is good for them, but also make sure they don't get into any trouble. And then when they become 18, they become truly independent from their parents. They move out, but if they're smart, they will ask their parents for help moving out and for understanding what exactly they have to do in order to get on their feet. And then as some people grow older, their idea of independence becomes skewed. They believe independence is to be totally alone, is to have no light from the others, and to sit in your own darkness and to only create your own light. But all you have is the ground beneath your feet to make a fire that isn't there. And when someone comes by with a torch that is already alight and offers to light yours laying on the ground next to you, you shun them. You say, "Thank you for the light," and let them go by. You do not light your own torch. And you continue to rub your burnt out one with the dirt beneath your feet, and it does not provide anything. Because no light will come from nothing. There always is a starting point. And you believe that you are independent in this way, but you are not. You are foolish. What you are doing is taking away an aid, a help, and being independent does not mean you do things without help. It simply means that you can make the choice to take that help and to put it into your life, for that is independence. Usually other people will make that choice for you. They will tell you, put this in your life, and you will have to do it. But if you yourself make that choice, if you yourself say, "I am truly independent. I truly choose to do something," then you are being independent. For the advice of others is actually quite useful. It can explain things to you that you maybe didn't understand, or give a perspective you didn't see. It's good to take advice from people. It makes you no less of a self-sustained person. Humans aren't designed to be alone. They aren't meant to sit without any sort of aid or help. They're simply meant to be together, to have community, even if they aren't in some sort of relationship. They are meant to be around people, to have someone they care for, someone they're with. That's how we are. Rejecting help is rejecting human nature. So, to be independent, I suppose, putting it into simple terms, is to be able to make choices and to be able to make the choice to accept the aid of other people. And your worth isn't defined by your independence either. If you still call your parents every week for advice on relationships or taxes or where to move or who to talk to, that doesn't mean that you're, more of a baby or less independent. It simply means that you know that your parents can give you good advice and you value that advice, so you ask for it. That doesn't mean you're living in your mother's basement and letting her pay rent. And so, to close out, be independent, but don't cut yourself off from the world that you come from. Be independent, but don't reject help from other people because it doesn't come from who you want it to come from. Be independent by depending on others, by depending on yourself to ask for others. Because then and only then can you truly say that you are self-sustained and independent. I can't close the book, but there.
Question.
Of course.
Can you give me an example? I mean, not a person. General idea of someone who is not independent. So, what does it look like when you're not independent? Because, right, you said being independent means to not be afraid of dependency, which can be confusing. So, I'm hoping that things become a little more clear if you give me example. What does this look like when you're not independent?
I can do that. So basically, we're gonna call this person Person A. So, Person A is not independent because while they are self-sustained and probably make their own money and are quite successful, Person A also is very one-track minded. Whatever they believe is what they believe, just as all of us. However, unlike many of us, not all, but many, Person A doesn't take advice from anyone. Person A believes that anybody who gives them critique or advice or a helpful way to keep going or to look in a different direction in a way that but definitely will benefit their life in a positive way and probably help them reach the goals they are trying to go, Person A will believe that any person who does that is insulting them, is telling them what they are doing is not right and that they should depend on this person giving them help. And Person A then politely takes the advice and rejects it. And Person A only listens to a certain few people when they give them advice, and yet still does not follow that advice. Person A believes that they have to make all their choices on their own without help from anybody because it's the only way to be independent. That is not independent. That is foolish.
Okay. Can you give me a second example?
Okay, this is going to be Person B.
Okay.
Person B thinks they're independent. Person B is a little less successful, so has a little bit of financial dependency on some other people, but that's okay. However, whenever and Person B has a problem. Person B is a very looming problem. However, when anybody tries to point out this gigantic looming problem to Person B thinks this person is being rude to them, or immediately forgets what this person has told them afterwards. Person B refuses to think they're doing anything wrong. And person B refuses to accept any advice as to how to deal with the problem, and instead turns to toxic solutions, such as blaming it on somebody else, running away, acting like they know everything, creating their own little bubble of this weird belief system where apparently everything that is true, that is not true, is true, and whatever they believe is true is law. Person B refuses to acknowledge their own faults, and instead turns to anything else possible to avoid acknowledging their own faults. That is also not independent.
Okay, now a very specific question. I think many people find themselves in situations in their lives where they feel they're not really happy in that situation. It may be their job, it may be their relationship, but they're at the same time not unhappy enough to change it. So it's like a limbo state. It's like, okay, there are some things that force them or convince them that it's good to stay in this situation, but there are other things that they don't like about the situation. Best example, kids at school. Kids usually want an education, yet there are a lot of things in school that they don't like. But at the same time, they have to go to school because they want an education. So how do you deal with a situation like that? Because I've always presented you with package deals. You get something good, but you get something bad with it. Then you feel like, many people feel like they're dependent on having to suffer the bad, while at the same time they don't want to. So this, to me, very often creates this feeling of not being independent, because you feel like I cannot change my situation, because if I go into a different job, there again will be things that I don't like. So how do you deal with that as an independent person?
As an independent person, I would say build connections and find resources. For example, say you're a kid and you have a parent that's like really involved with the school, or a member of the PTA or something like that. Or you just have a parent who is very convincing and good at talking. And then something happens in school that you are not happy with. Maybe some school official's unfair to you. And they make up a rule just to make you suffer. What do you do then? Well, you're not happy with that, but you can't just drop out of school because some people are being mean to you. Use your connections. Talk to the parent or the people you know, like maybe if you're very close friends with a teacher because your family's friends with them, talk to the teacher. Talk to somebody who can help you change the situation because they have the authority to change the situation. Parents would be the best example, because when a parent says, the school pretty much is gotta either make the parent calm down and, placate them, I don't know how you pronounce that, whatever, or do what the parent asks. So, for example, parents are a good example, or teachers, because if one teacher's angry, the rest of them follow. If it's really an issue to be angry about. That would be a way to change something in school, or in work. If you have higher connections, if your boss is being a jerk, talk to other coworkers, file a complaint, do something like that. Or if you have a coworker who makes your life difficult, talk to your boss. Do something to change that thing you don't like through the authority of someone else. Because that is independency, because you are making the choice to get an authority to give you the power to change the situation. Because you may not always have the power.
So, could I sum that up? That one trait of being independent is to work within a situation.
Yeah, that's exactly.
So, okay, some people, another question, I think some people, to some it's really a condition. It goes beyond just this feeling, I wouldn't have to do this. Some people really are completely stuck in this idea of they are not free, and they can never be free. And there's no way for them, and whatever anybody else says, they don't understand their situation, they don't see their situation, they are just justifiably stuck, and nobody can get them out. best example is people who have depression. It's very, very difficult to get someone out of depression just by telling them, hey, change your attitude. Yeah, it's not going to work. So, do you have any tips, any advice, maybe any divine tools this time that could help to break this cycle of there's just no way out of my situation?
What I would say is, in the case of depression or things like that, I would say talk to somebody. You know what I mean? If you feel like you're really stuck in this situation, it's going to sound cliche, but talk to somebody. Because unloading all of that built up crap and just telling somebody can already be a huge weight off your shoulders. And it can be very hard. So I would say start small. You know, go to someone you very closely trust, a very good friend, a sibling, a lover, a parent. And just, even a pet can help. You know, pets can't judge you. They're your pets. They just love you unconditionally. You know, and just say something like, I've been feeling terrible lately. And you know, just start like that. And then slowly, you can get up the bravery to talk to someone about it. And then, again, start small. If you really feel like you can't get out of the situation, it's like a giant metal door. Don't bang your fist on the door and expect it to break down. And someone standing there saying, just open the door. There's no door handle, and if there is, you can't see it. That's basically what it's like. And then they say, here, just use this, and they give you a toothpick to break it open. That's about what it's like, based on what I understand. So what I say is start small. First, examine the door. What can you notice about the door? Where are the hinges? How big is it? Does it touch the floor completely? Is it a little raised? Do the same. We're using the door as a metaphor here. And then, once you've examined the door, start feeling the door. You know, feel the hinges. Look around the room you're in. Do you see anything that could help you open this door? And then, start to work on opening the door. Start slowly, you know, try maybe pulling it from the bottom if you can't find a handle, or see if you can maybe break the hinges to force the door to open, or see if you can feel around it, even if you can't see the handle, if you can feel the handle. Things like that, you know. Start small, because just kicking the giant metal door isn't going to get it to open for you, unless you're like the Hulk. So, the same thing if you're stuck in a situation. Slowly but surely, work your way up until you've realized that you've gotten out of it. Because it's not going to be an easy process to get out of such a mindset and to get out of this hole that you've fallen into or dug for yourself. And I don't think anybody rational expects you to just change it overnight. It's just not how humans work. Like, theoretically we could, but our brains won't listen to that. Our brains aren't going to do that. They reject that. So just take it easy. Take it slow. No one expects you to have this fixed overnight. It's not making you less of a person. It just means that independently, you have to work your way out of it. And you can use the help of people who love you around you to support you and help you on the bad days when it feels like you're never going to get out of the room.
Okay, these were my questions. I just have one final question. Can you quickly tell us something about personal heaven stories?
Personal heaven stories?
Personal heaven stories.
What sort of things should I say?
Just what is a personal heaven story? Just briefly sum up. You've said it before. What's a personal heaven story?
All right.
How can people get one?
All right. So essentially what a personal heaven story is first you contact my father, and his info is going to be right there, and you can ask him about anything you want to know that I won't explain here. And basically what's going to happen is we're going to put a picture of you in this book, and we're going to write your name, and then we're going to film me, and I'm going to look at this picture of you and connect with the divine, and I'm going to read the story of your soul, and whatever your soul and the divine have to say to you. And essentially I'm going to be a sort of medium or a conduit to give you an idea of where you need to go in life, or what what being you are, what your purpose is. It varies for each person. And the idea is a heaven story is supposed to give you a guidance that nothing else can give you, and an in-depth analysis of what your soul truly is, and the background of your soul and who you are as a spiritual being. And again, you can contact him for any other questions you have, and afterwards, after we film the heaven story and you've paid, we will send it to you, and you will have it. And with your permission, sometimes we upload them to YouTube, only if you want that. And as well, if you have any follow-up questions, I answer 2 questions for free, and then any question after that, you'll have to ask him again.
For the price.
For the price. I should specify that. And that's basically what a personal heaven story is. One more time, contact him for anything you need to know.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Okay.
Bye.
See you soon.